Hey everyone, welcome to ChaatNChat Q&A. This is going to be part 3. If you haven't watched part 1 or part 2, I'm going to put their links in the description below. And just like I did on the previous video, I'm going to try to break this into chapters that you'll find in the description. So if you're interested in a particular question, I will have those broken down so you can easily jump to those questions in the video. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy. Let's go. So I already answered the last part, but what movie made you like fall in love with movies? Indian or non-Indian?
Oh,
but
wow.
Probably because you don't have a long history with Indian movies, it's probably going to be non-Indian.
Yeah. Ever since I was a child, I remember going to the movies, my brother and I, and my little cousins. It was a big thing growing up. We were pretty poor, but I remember my mom and dad always managed to, particularly during the summer, it was like we would go twice a week to the movie theater, and we would go and see, these were classics at the time for kids, Walt Disney movies, Herbie Love Bug series, loved all
Herbie,
of the, yeah, Herbie, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea,
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fantasia, all of those.
Fantasia.
Yeah, all of those were
Traumatizing as a kid.
Yeah, but I mean, they were, I mean, all of those kinds of movies were the things that we would go and we would see. And we'd memorize all the songs. Like within the time of the movie, we'd memorize all the songs and all the characters. So I think that really got me going on movies. And as I got older and started exploring other kinds, I like movies that suddenly abruptly stop and it's like, but I want to know, and things like that.
Oh, I hate that. Holy cow, Fear had a ferry, anyone? Like, what the heck? Did he drop the phone in the water? Like, it was in his mouth, and I'm just like, how the heck did that end? It just stopped. And he was trying to reach for the guns. They wanted to get in the guns because this dude was going to pay a lot. And I'm just like, how is that going to end? But there's going to be a third part, and I did hear that all 3 actors have signed up. Here's a question for you.
Oh, okay.
Does Uncle Miguel understand Hindi, and is it difficult to understand Hindi for Uncle Miguel?
I am actually picking it up as we go. I'm learning words here and there. I'm getting better at being able to understand because I am watching and I'm reading the subtitles at the same time. So oftentimes they say things that I've already heard and I already know what that means. And so I don't even need to read the subtitle to know what was said. There are many times that Josh is talking that I have the gist of what he's saying already. And so it may not be the exact words and their exact grammar, but I understand what he's talking about and what he wants to say. I just kind of go along with it. And when I don't understand, I will say I don't understand. Yeah. And oftentimes there will be something that in the subtitles that makes almost no sense in English. I will ask Josh, what did they say there? Because that made no sense in English. And he'll say something, and I'm like, okay, all right.
Sometimes he really does just go with it when my Dadu was visiting because he doesn't, my Dadu doesn't speak any English. Yes. I mean, he knows a few English words, but he really doesn't. So when the 3 of us are hanging out, I will get into the groove of speaking Hindi, but it gets a little confusing being an interpreter. So when we were all talking, there was this one time where I looked at Miguel and I started speaking, just rattling off in Hindi. And then I looked to Dadu and I start rattling off in English. And then I didn't even realize what was going on. And then he starts laughing. And then Dadu starts laughing, and I was like, "What?" And then you say like, "You were just talking to me." And anyway, it's really funny. But he just kind of went with it. He's like nodding. He's like, and so that's really funny. And it happens sometimes while watching the movies too. You guys might have caught a couple of the times because when I'm like watching in Hindi, but I'm trying to react in English for your sake so that we can have a conversation about these movies. Sometimes I will react in Hindi, but sometimes I'll be saying something to you while watching and I'll say it in Hindi and then I'll stop myself and then I'll say it in English. Because here, that is another thing for me because I either turn my brain towards Hindi or turn it to English. And it's really hard when you're like flipping that switch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Is it difficult for you to understand Hindi? I think, but that's how you kind of learn, you know? So that when I started watching Bollywood movies, all these classics with my Dadu in the very beginning, the same thing. I would hear words over and over again, and that's how I would build up a vocabulary, because I would hear those words and I would either read them in the subtitles if there were, but a lot of the classic movies do not have subtitles, which really sucks. So then I would ask him, and then he would use other words that I might know in Hindi to try to explain that word that I had a question about. So that actually brings us to another question.
And there's lots of great words that I like in Hindi. Farafat.
Farafat. Farafat. Farafat chalo. Farafat.
Chalo.
Farafat. Matlab.
Matlab.
Matlab, just like to an American, I think matlab. And so I have a few words too that when I was learning, I was just like, they were my favorite words, just because to our ears they sound fun and funny. And so my top 3 is, I'm with you, Fardafat, I love matlab, and I love farak.
Farak, yes.
Yeah,
farak.
Mainly because farak sounds a little bit...
It's like, almost...
it's almost a curse in English. So, like farak. And I'm like, farak. I love that word. Farak means like difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question from Kishore44. If you have grown up in India, then you must have seen most of Indian movies already, isn't it so? So, like I explained before, when I was watching these Bollywood movies with my Dadu, they were all these classic movies. We've done some older movies like Damini, Gatak, Sholay. So we have done some older movies, but I'm talking about like that film Agale Lagja, Babi, Chupke Chupke, some like old Dharminder movies, some classic Amitabh Bachchan movies. A lot of these movies that we're prioritizing right now are movies that I haven't seen and that Miguel has definitely not seen. And if I have seen it, I'm going to be honest, like in Sholay, I have seen Sholay, but the Sholay copy that we actually watched was the director's cut, which I never saw the director's cut until that time. I try to be honest, and I think that is the only movie that we've so far reacted to that I have previously seen. And I do tell you guys in the comments whenever you're making suggestions if I have seen the movie or not, because there have been some suggestions that I've already seen that movie, and I'm trying to prioritize movies that I have not seen, because I am also trying to get a wider scope of Indian cinema in general. Like a lot of South Indian movies that we've been watching, I've never seen South Indian movies before, and so it's been really interesting seeing those. Sometimes maybe there are a couple on my list that I have seen that we will react to, but I will tell you that I've seen them, and more than anything, it is because I want Miguel to see them. So one of them is Lagan. I've already seen Lagan. I've seen it a number of times because I'm a big fan of cricket, and we actually have Dhoni coming up this week. And so I'm a big fan of cricket. So Lagan, it actually came out while I was living in India. And so I watched it when I was living there. And I think I watched it with Dadu. That one I have seen, and I do want to react to it with someone that hasn't seen it. And I think it would be fun for the channel. Why India, and any plans for visiting India? So why India? You guys know that I love India. I consider it my second home. It's very special to me. And anytime I go back to India, like when the plane arrives and I walk out of the airport, it's just like, whew, it's like this feeling that I really can't describe, because it's like being home, like when you haven't been home for such a long time and then you get there and then you get that feeling. It is just, it's undescribable. So I haven't been back to India for since COVID. So geez, it's been almost 4 years. Yeah. And I mean, it's been way too long. So do we have plans to go to India? Yes, depending on how well this channel does. So please help this channel grow, comment, like, subscribe if you haven't already. But depending on how this channel goes, I would love to be able to go to India this November for Diwali. It is on November 1st. This year. We are going to try to plan to go. I'm going to bring Miguel with me. He has never been to India. So there's actually quite a few questions here asking about Miguel's opinion about India. So he's never been, so he doesn't really, other than what he's seen in the movies. As a lot of you know, you can't really judge India by movies because they show different things. So the best way to experience India is to actually go to India. So do we plan? Yes, we're planning. I hope we can make it, and we'll vlog about the trip because I'm really excited to show Miguel around. I have a bunch of things planned for us to do. He'll get to meet all of my family members out there, which will be a lot of fun.
They're meeting me from afar already, but I haven't gotten to meet them.
Yeah. Anytime I go, I try to go to a different part of India that I've never been to. So when we do plan that trip, I will let you all know. Maybe we'll get some recommendations, and maybe we'll do a meet and greet or something. I don't know. It could be fun. Meet some fans of the channel. That could be fun. Oh, I love this question. So thank you so much for asking this, because Miguel has a ton of fans on this channel and people want to know more about Miguel. So this is really fun. How come Miguel has such a high EQ? How could anyone be so genuine and kind even through a small phone screen? Never met him, of course. Never will, but I'm pretty sure he's a guy with a big heart, is easy to laugh, and has a high EQ and IQ. I'd like to know a bit about his journey. Reminds me of my dad. Stay blessed. And then there's a question for me, but let's talk about you. Yeah, so why are you so kind and big-hearted? Because he is. So I've known him personally for over 2 years, and I got to tell you, like, he is exactly how he presents on camera. He's an extraordinary guy. He's super fun. He's very personable. Within 5 minutes of meeting somebody, they'll be best friends because he is so open and kind and big-hearted. So how are you like that? Because there are so many people out in the world that are very negative and very, I guess, pessimistic about things.
Yeah. This is just the way I am.
That's a good answer. This is the way I am.
I am. I tend to really like being very open to experiences, people. I may not be what everybody likes. I get that. I also really enjoy getting to know others. And if there's any sort of connection, I'll talk to you about just about anything. I've traveled the world quite a bit. I've lived in several other countries. I've always found that some of my best experiences have always been when I've opened myself up to possibilities and been vulnerable, because I know for a lot of people, they don't want to feel funny or awkward or that they don't know something. I've been in countries where there is no one around me that speaks English, and I'm stuck and I'm trying to travel somewhere and I don't know what I'm doing. I've had some just great experiences of where I've worked through gestures and smiles and, pictures and other things, and just had fantastic experiences that I remember the whole entire rest of my life. I think when you can be just yourself and authentic and respect other people, they respect you, and it just kind of works out.
That's the thing, is I think being open to other people's experiences is what people connect to. When somebody meets you for the first time and they start talking, they find that you are genuinely interested in learning more about them and their experiences. People pick up on that. And that is like one of the biggest things about being so personable, is you have a genuine interest in other people, because the more you learn about other people, the more you learn about the world, right? And as world travelers, you and me, I think that gives us that kind of perspective a lot of the times. Is if you travel the world, there's a lot, Americans are actually infamous for this, about traveling the world with a very closed mind, and when they go to other places, they expect that place to be like America, and so they're negative. And there was a comment in here asking me about what I think about some people that have negative experiences in India and that do a lot of these vlogs that show India in a negative light. And what I say to that is they're just not experiencing the real India, because they're going with the intention or mindset that when they go to India, it should be like their home. But what makes India so special is it is very unique. And when you go there, you go with an open mind, and you're open to new experiences, and you're open to different cultures and ideas. And that then you will have a good experience and you will see India for the beauty it is.
Yeah.
There's a question that, and this actually is part of the same question. P.S. Question for you. What 3 things did I get wrong about India and Indians until now? So this is exactly what I'm talking about. I was young. I was really young when we moved to India. And when I first got there, the reason it took me a year to try Indian food, or even a year to learn one word in Hindi. How do you live in a country without learning one word for a year, you know? Because there's Hindi everywhere. I just never opened myself up. My mind was closed. Like I said, I just went to school. I came home, went to school, and came home. I didn't do anything in between. So when I first got to India, I just saw what was like this surface level, like from the airport to my house. That's all I saw. I just saw, you know, like this almost village sort of life. And I'm just like, I have no interest in this. But then as soon as I started meeting people from India, and like I said, when I met Dadu and we built this connection, he started taking me around and showing me another side of India, that I got to see the beauty and the uniqueness of India. And it just opened my eyes. And it was almost like when I first got there, I was seeing India through glasses or something, you know, like a filter of how an American would go to India. But then he took that filter off by showing me like different parts of India. And it's not always pretty, but no country is always pretty. Yeah. Like here in the US, like we have tons of areas that I don't want to go to. And I would tell people, do not go there. And so every country has those areas, but you have to accept that, but then also see all the areas that are really pretty and beautiful. And I'm not just talking about the landscapes. They do have beautiful landscapes, but I'm talking about the people and the customs. And so one thing I got wrong about India is that I didn't believe that I would be interested in meeting Indians as friends or having friends like when I first moved there, because I don't know, I got the people wrong completely. You will meet an Indian, and within like that conversation of meeting them, they will ask you to come home with them to give you chai. They're like, oh, please come visit my house, visit my family, and meet my wife and my children, and we'll make you dinner, we'll get you chai. And you know, because there's this saying.
They had me at chai.
Yeah, but there's this saying in Hindi, Aditi Devo Bhava, and it means like our guest is like God, basically, right? Like that when you come into their country, they see you as like somebody that they want to share their things with, like their food with, their chai with, and all of that sort of stuff. And it is just such a beautiful way of looking. And I wish America had the same sort of idea and concept, is because it's just, they're some of the most beautiful people in the world when it comes to just being so genuine and open and kind and generous. So I definitely got that wrong when I first moved to India, and I feel like a lot of people do, but I've met a lot of people, some Americans that have been to India and have come back with the same understanding. So they're like, wow, I met some amazing people while I was there. And they're like, did I just get lucky that I met some people that were just like, come meet my family and have tea and snacks? And I'm like, nah, dude, like that's Indian culture, man. Like they're super generous, very nice, and just like so welcoming. And it just is just so wonderful. Like I can't wait for you to visit, because it's such an awesome place.
Right.
So that is, you know, that was a good question. From Raj, says, basic introduction of me and my team. I feel like we already did that. Aaron's not here, Kayla's not here, but maybe in the future we'll do more videos with them. They have been very busy, so they haven't been able to react to a video with us in some time. But as soon as we get some more of their time, we plan on doing more with them. So second question, as foreigners, how is your first introduction to India or Indian cinema share the experience? So I feel like I've probably already shared that, but what about Miguel? So what was your first, because it wasn't on the reaction channel, so what was your first Bollywood movie that I introduced you to?
Do you remember? I think it was Bobby.
Bobby?
Bobby. Yeah.
Really?
I think so.
Bobby's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a classic. So Indian cinema, as you know, because we've been watching them, it
Right.
has changed.
Yes.
So a lot since Bobby. So do you remember your feelings and opinions while watching that and then after watching it? I mean, it is a longer movie. Like a lot of the classics were longer in length. So how did you deal with that? As
Fortunately, there's an intermission.
yeah. Sometimes, I mean, nowadays they don't really build in the intermission. Sometimes they do, and they say intermission, and that's great.
Yeah. That one in particular was a different format that I hadn't really seen in an American movie. Because I like art movies and independent movies, I just kind of rolled with it. And I'm like, when it's their style, it's very unique. I like it. And of course, the songs that come in and the dancing is something different and makes it very unique, and I like that. I think that's my first introduction, and I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, I could get into watching these more often.
Yeah. Third part of this question is, as your journey till now, Indian cinema, how do you see it from an outsider's perspective? So I think that you pretty much summed it up. But I think for the most part, foreigners, when they watch these movies, they watch them because it is such a different format, the unique style of storytelling, character development within these stories, and all of that. It is just very interesting to see how characters are introduced. Vivek is asking your favorite actor and favorite comedy movies from India and US. Let's stick with Indian cinema. So what is your favorite comedy? Because we've seen quite a few comedies together. So what's your favorite comedy so far? So we watched Garam Masala, you watched Fir Hera Feri with us, and Three Idiots.
So I think Garam Masala. Because and particularly and I'm forgetting his name, the actor who played
Akshay Kumar,
the help, the cook.
Paresh Rawal. Oh man, how do you forget his name? Come on, bro.
As soon as you said it, I knew who it was.
Okay, so Paresh Rawal.
His acting around that character was
his acting on every character. I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He's awesome.
Yeah, and even when he plays a bad guy, he's good.
Yes, we saw him in a bad guy role in Domini. He was, but he has even bigger roles because in Domini he wasn't as much. He was more of like a side character, but he still played a guy that I was like, ooh, I don't like that guy.
But from a comedy standpoint, I really, really liked him. He made it funny.
So that's your favorite
so far?
So far?
Yeah, so far, I would say so.
Every one of his scenes in Garam Masala was just like, oh man, I don't think either of us have laughed that hard in another movie. But there are a ton of fans of Akshay Kumar out there, and one of the questions is about Akshay Kumar because they say that they know that I'm a fan of Paresh Rawal and they want my opinion about Akshay Kumar. And I believe that Akshay Kumar is also great in those roles. I've seen some action movies. I told everyone, we actually watched Rowdy Rathore in Denver when we were traveling through Denver. Right. So we watched that movie, and because people are asking me to react on it, and I'll tell you right now, both of us have already seen that movie. We liked it. It was really good. There was a bit of action, there was a bit of comedy, and it was a fun movie. And that we watched that before the whole reaction channel thing. So
that dude was preparing us then.
Yeah. Well, no, he didn't see it either, but he was bored and he was just like, put something on. So then I just turned on, I forgot whether it was Netflix or Amazon, but I put one of them on and then I was like, oh, here's a Bollywood movie for you, Dadu. Like, anyway, so he obviously didn't really care for it because it's a modern movie and, he's big into the classics, but they're hard to find on the streamers. My favorite comedy movie that we've seen so far is probably Fir Hera Feri. I liked it a lot. I love Paresh Rawal's character. I love his accent. I love his line delivery. And that scene on the balcony between him and Johnny Lever was some of the best comedic sequences I've ever seen in my life. I could watch those two go back and forth for like hours. If that movie was literally just the two of them staring each other down, I would watch it. I would watch that for days. Paresh Rawal, man, like he's also my favorite. And my Dadu actually does a really good impression of him. He's got the accent down. And so next time like you talk to him or he's visiting or something, I'll have him do his impersonation for you because it's really good. Okay. All right, I better wrap this part up here so that I can get it out on time tonight, your guys' morning, so that it won't be late. We're planning on watching a movie tonight as well, so I need to quickly get this one trimmed up, edited, all of that. Again, if you had a question on that community post that we have not gotten to yet, it could be in the next video that we're going to post, so stay tuned. I hope you guys are enjoying this. And thank you so much for watching these videos so far. And the next part, it might not come tomorrow because I have a full day at work tomorrow from morning to night, and I might not have enough time to get another part out. But I will try to get another part out as soon as I can. So thank you so much for being patient and following us along on this journey. It's been pretty fun so far. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.